Release the Quacken! Welcome back to the farm, everybody. It is an exceptionally warm morning here in November, and it is time to do some farm chores. Abby Dog, what are you doing? Oh, Abby Dog's chawing on some leftover cauliflower scraps. Abby Dog, is this your new favorite chew toy? All right. Take it easy there, sweetie. I don't know, Toby Dog. It seems like Abby has an extreme case of the zoomies. Yes, I'm talking about you, miss. You got a lot of pent-up energy this morning. I'm actually still doing all of my farm chores a bit later than usual this morning because we're still in the midst of deer hunting season, and so I spent some time in my deer blind. Still no luck on the hunt. And so over the last week or so, my mornings have looked like this, where I get up in the morning before sunrise, get out to the deer blind, being ready and perfectly in position to start hunting right at sunrise. I'll sit out there for, I don't know, about an hour, maybe two, and then come back down and do the farm stuff for the rest of the day. And then maybe after that, I'll typically go out in the evening a little bit before sundown and try my luck again. But I have still had no luck. And I guess it's kind of disappointing because I really hoped that I'd be able to bag a buck this fall, but sometimes life just doesn't work out the way you want it to, I guess. I think one of the things I want to do today is build a new hose attachment that makes it so I don't have to stand here and fill up each of the buckets for the birds each morning. And I'll be able to like just turn the hydrant on and it will evenly distribute the water, and so I can just like set it up, run it for 5 minutes and turn it off versus having to stand here and like hold this hose and fill up each individual bucket. So we'll tackle that project this morning as well. All right, let's go. I know we got some hungry birds here. Excuse me, Mr. Toby Dog. So for some reason this morning, the geese were ready and waiting for their food, but the ducks, I don't know where the ducks are. And in case you guys are wondering, that's actually Ron Swanson. She is the duck who thinks she's a goose. She was actually the lone duckling that hatched out with a group of goslings a couple of years ago, I guess 4 years ago now. And so she likes to really hang out with the Parks and Recreation crew, which is basically what I call the geese these days. It's a better nickname than House Slytherin. It looks like Greta and one of my runner ducks figured out where the food is, but I don't know where the rest of the ducks are. They're probably somewhere back there. They like to hang out in the back looking for insects. But actually, here's another fan favorite duck. This is Bean. She's blind, and so she navigates in a very unusual way, and you'll see her crash into stuff all the time. So I don't usually like to follow her too much because I almost feel bad for her. But she actually does a pretty good job of getting around the farm. She basically knows how to follow the ducks and geese to find the food and water. And so as long as I can keep her safe and keep an extra eye out, she usually does just fine. One of the other things I'm gonna have to do this morning is finish sealing off the wall for winter for the birds so that their hoop coop is nice and warm and set for the winter. Even though it looks like our low temp for the next 10-day forecast is only like 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So this is becoming an unseasonably warm November we've got here. Oh, would you look at that? We've got a fresh duck egg this morning. This right here is the bonus byproduct of having the Quacken. This egg is actually warm and wet, which would tell me it was just laid as well. So I had this in the kitchen scraps this morning. It's a stale gluten-free roll from Allison. I'm gonna let the dogs have it. There you go, Toby. That's for you, Abby. Toby gets the bigger piece and Abby gets the smaller piece because Abby's gonna come back and get the other smaller piece. Toby often likes to take his food and watch it and savor it and take his time. Abby, on the other hand, she scarfs things like it's a communion wafer. Oh, you're such a good girl. She's not really a good girl, but I'm trying like positive affirmations to get her in the mindset of being a good girl. So as of yesterday, we also have some new residents here in the hoop coop. I finally moved my chicken flock inside here. It was actually yesterday morning that I locked them up and moved them in here, but today is their first full day here on the farm inside the hoop coop. Good morning, chickens. Rise and grind. It's actually kind of cool to see the chickens wander around and do their thing. They're going through and picking out some of the seeds that have landed on the ground. You can see a lot of the plants, like the stockier plants, are getting crushed down and basically turning into straw on the ground. Over the next few days, I'll start putting down layers of bedding just as part of my normal process for keeping the birds over the course of the winter. What I do is typically just keep adding layers of bedding pretty much every other day, and it builds up over the course of the winter, and it turns into really, really good compost, which makes it very easy to grow stuff inside this space in the summer months, as well as it will eventually, in about a year or so, turn into outstanding compost that can be used in the garden, on the trees, and really pretty much anywhere I want to here on the farm. I'm pretty sure there's a benefit to having multiple different types of species wandering around in this space. What I've noticed is the work that the ducks and geese do is different than what the chickens do, and having the combination of all three wandering around doing their thing, I don't know, it's just pretty cool to see. Well, good morning, my goaty Otises. You've been singing your song, saying hello. How are you guys doing? And in case if anybody's wondering, I'm still loving hanging out with Barnacus, Telemachus, and Larn. I've added something new to their feeding mix and repertoire here. I've always seen people use these feed bags, so it's like basically like a large tote with holes on the side that you can use to put hay inside of it. And I never really had a use for them, but now that I have the goats, I decided to give it a try, and so that's what I've been using to put their hay out. It's pretty darn easy to use, and the goats genuinely seem to like it. Looks like I got a little branch of cedar in here too. I've still been trolling on Craigslist and on Facebook Marketplace, looking to score a relatively cheaply priced small trampoline. No luck just yet, but my dream of having a goat playscape is still in the works here on the farm. Uh-oh. What are the dogs barking about, guys? Toby dog's over there, and Abby dog is right over there. And in case anybody's wondering, the goats are now 100% comfortable with using their door. So since I moved the regular chickens yesterday, I figured that I was due to actually move more chickens today. And yes, it's actually the weird chickens' turn to move, and so I'm gonna go get them and transport them to their new winter quarters. I made the decision to have them move into the brooder house, which is typically the space where when I have chicks hatch, that's usually where I will actually raise them up. Like, so if I have baby ducklings or baby chickens or baby geese, they all spend their first few weeks living in there. What's nice about it is it has access to electricity, so I can keep it warm if I need to with heating plates. And the other really easy thing about it is it's really close to my water, so in terms of doing winter chores, it's a lot easier than trying to do it in the clucky ball space. And so I gotta come in here and I'm gonna grab all of these birds and move them into their new home. So we got Carmen and we got Deb. Say hi, Deb. And then we have Lavender Brown and her 3 nearly identical children. In you go. And surprisingly, in the last 2 days, I don't know if you've seen this chicken running around while I was trying to catch the other ones. You've got Captain Janeway, AKA Runaway Red, who used to be a part of the weird chicken flock, but then decided to join the regular chickens. She's now decided to rejoin the weird chickens again. I don't try to make sense of any of this, I'm just telling you what happens. But yeah, it's just gonna be significantly easier to take care of these chickens inside this space. And so the weird chickens will move back into the clucky ball this spring, but for right now, living inside the brooder house feels like the best possible choice for them, as well as the fact that it's gonna make my chores significantly easier this winter. And the other bonus means I can now let the goaty Otises run free and let them wander around this part of the farm on a nice warm day like today. Of course, they're immediately curious about what's going on with those chickens. So the reason I had to wait for the weird chickens to be put away before I could do this is because the other day I came out here to check on things and I had a warm afternoon and I decided to let the goats just kind of get out there and run free. Well, when I came out here, I couldn't find them. They were like missing. I looked all around and eventually I discovered that they had broken into the clucky ball. And they had even destroyed the door that I have like repaired already 3 different times. And so this door is toast. The goats kept getting in here trying to eat the grain from the chickens. And so what it comes down to is I just really can't let the goats run wild unless I have really good fencing setups and have the bird food behind good fences, because they will just go crazy for that bird food. Isn't that right, boys? But now you're able to wander all around here and eat the last of the brush and the last of the grasses and just help me clean up the farmyard. Yeah, I even put this fencing up to help keep the goats from trying to get into the hoop coop too this winter. You guys are real knuckleheads, you know that? But I like you because you're really entertaining. Now, ordinarily, this would be the point in the day when I would go up top of the hill and check the cattle. But since I was already up there and kind of did a quick check on them when I was hunting this morning, and I actually no longer have any fences I have to move, I wanted to take a slightly different approach to doing cow chores this morning. First, let's do a quick check of the heifers. You guys see Alice and Baby B? They're both hanging out right here. I actually just moved them to a new grazing lane yesterday. Now they're gonna actually tackle this space right here. I don't know, they'll probably be there a week or 2 as well. I'm kind of getting down to the final grazing. It's probably gonna be maybe at least 2 weeks before I bring the cattle down based on what the weather's looking like. But when I do bring those cattle down, that's when I'll put the girls back in with their moms. And speaking of the moms, let's see where they are. So as you can see, my field is actually scattered with cattle right now. I actually took down the last of the fences. The cattle have pretty much the whole field where they can wander through, and I'm just letting them go through and pick out any grasses they want at this point at the end of the grazing season. As you can see, they're chilling out and loafing. I'm pretty sure that if I have to keep them out here longer, I will probably end up having to resort to bringing hay bales up to here. But I'm totally willing to do that because the more time they spend up here, it means the less time they have to spend in their winter yard, which I think is going to be a positive for them. But as I zoom down pretty low, you can see there's still some grass to eat, but not a ton. Like, there's not a lot of grass. They're starting to run thin on it based on the fact that the quality of the forage isn't as good as it was, say, even a month ago. They're going to need more of it. And so I don't think it's going to be very long before I have the hay bales up here and I start bale grazing the cattle up on this upper pasture here. I don't love to give them this much space, but it's pretty easy to keep an eye on them. And I do have the exterior fences to keep them in check. The one thing that I did notice that got a little screwed up is it looks like they tipped over the Happy Cowmobile 3.0 yet again. And so this is going to be a mess that I have to clean up. But other than that, it seems like things are fine. And in case anybody was wondering, like, where on the farm do I go hunting? Typically, I'm like way back here. And now that I have this wide shot like this, I can do a quick head count of the cattle, and it looks like everybody is accounted for. So yeah, it seems like the drone is a pretty good option for checking on the cattle. What did I tell you guys? I turned my back for like 5 minutes, and these rascallions already boarded the clucky ball yet again. You know, when I built this structure this past spring, I built it not thinking that I was gonna have goats wandering around and I would have to figure out some sort of goat deterrent system, but here we are. You boys know you're not even supposed to be in there. You know you got busted.